Good news for Scream fans, there's a new movie out. Bad news for anyone who likes good movies, it's not a good one. It's here though. Scream 7. The disgust you felt watching me do that is about how disgusted you'll be wasting your time and money watching this film. Most people don't like this movie. Most of the reviews aren't overly positive. I just watched it. I am also in that camp now. I didn't find a whole lot to like about it. We're just going to dive right in, get into the weeds. So here's your spoiler warning. The best part of this film is the first 15 minutes. The scene that you see plastered on the trailers, that is by far the best content in the film. It's the intro, where you have two people in a house, and it's, the house. And guess what? Ghostface is there and he kills them. And it's actually pretty tense. It's also pretty charming. You actually care more about those two characters in that house than any of the other characters that you spend the rest of the movie with. They did a better job making you care about those two, connect with them, and actually root for them than any of the other characters you see from that point forward. Every character that you meet outside of the core characters of Sidney and Gale. And here's your big spoiler, but I'm sure most of you have probably already seen this because it got leaked before the film came out. Stu, played by Matthew Lillard, also makes an appearance in this movie. Outside of these three characters, everyone else that you meet is the biggest throwaway nothing burger of just generic writing ever that just ticks off boxes of buzzwords without ever exploring anything about these characters, and you get actually nothing. They are just meat balloons waiting to be popped by the Ghostface killer. That's it. Even Sidney's daughter, Tatum, the relationship between Sidney and Tatum is hardly explored. Now Sidney's an overprotective parent. Tatum kind of resents her for that, and now she's kind of rebellious. But they never actually even really talk or connect through a shared experience until the very end, kind of. It's just all of a sudden, Mom, this is really fucked up stuff you've been through, and now that I've been subjected to it, man, I really get why you were so protective all these years. It's oh, okay. Glad that resolved. But, there's never anything built up with, any of these characters or their relationships to one another. And every character that is introduced in this film, every new character, I shit you not, is here solely to be killed. You get nothing of substance with them. They get killed, and some of the kills are actually pretty decent. Especially in the tavern, there's a couple moments in there that was oh, that was a really silly kill, but self-aware silly. But the character that dies, you probably don't even remember the fucking name of. They are the most they have one character trait. For example, Lucas is the creepy guy. He's obsessed with horror films and the story of Sidney Prescott, so could he be Ghostface? Or is he just a obsessed weirdo guy? And then they also introduce two new characters that are working with Gale, and they're reporters, and they're into true crime and stuff, so they're investigating all of this, and they're doing it could be Tatum's boyfriend, or it could be creepy guy, but creepy guy maybe a little too obvious, creepy guy loves this a little too much, maybe creepy guy could be Ghostface, that kind of thing, where it's supposed to be self-aware, but it's very clearly written by a 60-year-old man who clearly has no idea how people actually talk, so it's just really embarrassing and cringe to listen to. But anyway, every character that gets introduced has one personality traits, and it is all they do, and that's it. You get nothing else. They hardly interact with each other, and when they do, it's very stiff and very bland, and then they die. And like I said, some of the kills are interesting, but that's all they do is just die. So this whole film is just, here's a kill and a sequence that isn't really intense. The sequences aren't that intense outside of the first 15 minutes. That ends with a kill that may be satisfying, or maybe it's just they got stabbed and died. There's a couple of those. But Ghostface racks up quite a kill count here. The KD ratio went ballistic, and yet not a single kill felt like it mattered at all. Because also, the main characters, like Tatum, forget about all of her friends. All of her friends die. They are brutally murdered. And she actually even witnessed her boyfriend getting stabbed to death. And she basically forgets all about it by the time the credits roll, and even drops a hard one-liner saying, "I'm Sidney fucking Prescott's daughter." It's okay. Wow, this was quite a turnaround. What about all your friends and your boyfriend that has all been murdered? I guess, whatever. We'll wipe her ass with that, I guess. It's just crazy how little they actually tried with any character in this movie at all. And I think it's important to have characters that you actually want to see survive. Otherwise, you're just watching a montage of kills and sequences that aren't exactly amazing most of the time, and nothing else. There's really just nothing of substance here. Anyway, though, I mentioned Matthew Lillard makes a return to this film. Kind of. This movie has some baffling decisions. Like, actually, shockingly dog shit ones. So, one of the things is AI. And the way Matthew Lillard reprises his role as Stu is, you know, in the trailer where it says, "Oh, I'm not hiding, Sydney, not this time." Well, in the film, he then follows it up with a FaceTime call, and it's Stu. It's Matthew Lillard as Stu talking to her. So then the question becomes, is someone deep faking this? Or is Stu really alive? So then her and Gale start investigating, and they're starting to piece the puzzle together. They go to an insane asylum because one of the Ghostface killers that they actually were able to kill, Gale hit him with a car, like literally a joke moment where Gale just flattens this fucking guy. They get out and they're like, oh, vehicular manslaughter. Didn't expect that today. They just murdered a guy. It was Ghostface, obviously, but they kill this guy, they unmask him, and everyone just goes, who the fuck is that? And it's just some escaped psychotic guy from the loony bin who, I guess, just out of nowhere decided he wanted to kill Sidney Prescott and her family, kill the daughter, kill the husband, kill everyone as Ghostface. So they tie it back to the insane asylum, the ward, and that's when they talk to one of the guys there who's like, oh yeah, no, that guy, he was a bad guy, but he was also friends with that guy on your phone you just showed me a picture of. That's John. So now they're like, oh my god, Stu's really alive, it's John. But they're also still not entirely convinced. So Tatum, her boyfriend, forgot his name, Ben? It might be Ben. I don't know, it's either Ben or fucking Jerichomo or something, I have no idea. It shows what a good job this movie did of making you actually pay attention to these characters or care about them. But they've said multiple times that this guy, her boyfriend, is really good with technology, so it could be him deep faking Stu, because it's really unlikely Stu's still alive. And then Tatum even discovers that he was deep faking himself as Stu, and he's like, wait, no, I can explain, babe. I was just seeing if the technology can do that, if it's even possible, and she beats him with a laptop. Turns out, wasn't him. He really was just seeing if it was AI. He dies in the next scene. Completely worthless. Again, completely worthless. And every single time these characters are together, it's a battle of who can make the dumbest decisions fastest. So all these characters, all of her friends, and even like the investigative reporters that work with Gale, when they are interacting with the group of friends, they all just make the worst decisions and even call out how stupid their decisions are while making them right before dying. And it's like, okay, that doesn't make it better. It's still just annoying to watch. It's so tropey, and at this point, it's just lazy. Like, you know it's lazy, but you don't care. You're just fucking sending it. Like, you're insulting the intelligence of the audience. It doesn't make up for trash. It's crazy how dumb the decisions are. For example, like Tatum, when she's getting ganked by Ghostface and her mom's on the phone, it's like, you gotta shoot him through the wall. Shoot him now. And she shoots him a bunch and he goes down. Well, she then, like, unblockades the door and goes out to try and finish the job, and then that's when she gets captured. But it's like, why did you bother doing that? You just saw shooting him through the wall worked. If you want to finish him off, just keep shooting him through the wall, I guess. Just dump the mag. You don't have to go out there and put yourself in danger again. And in the theater, the entire auditorium just sighed collectively when she started moving like the furniture away from the door to go out there, because it was just very obvious what was going to happen next. And like decisions like that happen constantly in this movie, constantly. Now anyway, by far the worst moment of this film is the ending. The entire ending, like the last 10-ish minutes or so. Actually, it's closer to 20 because the villain gives an extremely long-winded monologue, because it turns out it was 3 Ghostface killers, and you don't know fucking anything about any of them. They are random people. So, one of them is the guy from the asylum that got hit by the car, and it turns out he was friends with 2 other people in that asylum. A woman and a man. The guy I don't remember the name of, but he was like an employee there, and they befriended each other, and then loved Stab, which plays a crucial role in here, because half of this film is dedicated to just regurgitating everything that happened in previous Scream films, just lore dropping everything that happened. So even if you've never seen a Scream film, you probably know scene for scene, bar for bar, what happened in Scream 1, because they do not shut the fuck up about it and just dropping all this nostalgia bait and everything, and even making a mention of, yeah, you know, if I was making a new slasher film, I would be doing a lot of nostalgia baiting. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly what this whole film has been. That doesn't make it better. There's still nothing here. Like, they even call it out and still do it. It's so annoying. It's not meta. It's just lazy. Anyway, though, this guy's going through, like, how much they love the, you know, stab, everything that happened with the Prescott story. And then the other friend is Jessica, who's actually Sidney's neighbor, a family friend. And it turns out she had an abusive husband and became obsessed with the story of Sidney Prescott through, like, her book and everything. And eventually worked up the courage to kill her husband, and then resented Sidney because she didn't go to New York and thought she was, like, you know, weak for it. And then she became just crazy and checked herself into an asylum where she met the other two. And they cooked up this plan to basically make Sidney 2.0, or, you know, kill Sidney, that kind of thing. It's a stupid fucking conclusion where they reveal the killers. It was very, very awful. And I also think most people are going to guess that the guy at the insane asylum that they meet, who was like a weirdo briefly, where he talked about John, I think most people will be like, yeah, that guy's probably in on it in some way, because they made that pretty fucking obvious. But I don't think anyone will expect how stupid it is. And it turns out, prior to working at that asylum, he was like a Google engineer or something with AI, which is how he was deep faking Stu's face onto his videos and Jessica's videos that they were interacting with Sidney on. It sucks, man. And also, there's a big point about you have to shoot them in the head. That's what Sidney keeps telling the Tatum, her daughter. Shoot them in the head. Because if you don't, they're like zombies. They always survive. And that happens actually 3 times, I think, of them getting shot everywhere but the head, and then they just disappear and they're still alive. So they act like they are literally zombies. Movie sucks. The movie's just not very good. Like I said, the first 15 minutes, I actually was very surprised that anyone was like shitting on this film, because like, this is a very solid 15 minutes. I'm really enjoying this so far. And then after that, it became very clear the big problem with this movie. All the problems became very clear. And I'm just shocked that this is the film they released, to be honest, because Scream's always been pretty solid. I haven't really watched the Scream movie and been like, damn, that was terrible. Until this one. This one really had me go, damn, that just wasn't very good. So yeah, anyway, that's really about it. See ya.